Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's talk about it. So I saw Spider-Man Homecoming. I liked it. I really liked it. It was pretty good. Some ways it's better than the Raimi versions. In some ways it's not. I like Peter Parker. Tom Holland did a great job as Peter, man. There's a lot to like about Spider-Man Homecoming. They don't really dwell in the whole melodrama, sadness of Uncle Ben. It's definitely in the world of the MCU. They really let us know Spider-Man's in the MCU. It's like surrounded by Iron Man. He's like the main focal point of this whole movie. Vulture is cool. Michael Keaton killed it as the Vulture. Probably one of the best Spider-Man villains to date. Michael Keaton killed it. I thought I wouldn't like the Vulture's helmet. I really dug it. I liked the suit. He wasn't in his helmet the whole time. The shockers were cool. The shockers were cool. Both shockers. I like the energy the film had. It was quick. It was witty. It knew the angle it wanted to present itself. It wanted to be like a John Hughes meets action adventure. It did a pretty good job at that. I liked Peter Parker's friends for the most part. Liz was cool, but if it didn't tie into the whole spoiler at the end, I probably wouldn't have liked Liz's character as much. She's kind of a throwaway character unless they bring her back, but if you've seen the movie, you know what happens. I will spoil this film towards the end of this video. So, I liked Spider-Man's suit. The AI inside the suit, to a point, it was getting a little too much. I liked Jennifer Connelly's voice as Karen, as the AI voice. I liked all of that. I liked Spider-Man hacking his suit system, because he's obviously not ready for it. One thing that could have happened was they could have showed Spider-Man soaring through the buildings a little bit more. He didn't really swing through the buildings a lot. He was actually driving a car, running across like a football field because there was nowhere to attach himself to, so he couldn't swing through high buildings. But I think next time they should focus more on him swinging through the buildings, because the other Spider-Man films, they really nailed him soaring through the sky. You get that sense of, wow, this dude is soaring through New York City. I get it. This film's more grounded. He's just starting out. You know, he has this training suit. Basically, Tony Stark, from the trailers, Tony Stark takes his suit away because he thinks he needs the suit to be Spider-Man. Well, he has to, with great power comes great responsibility. Basically, that's what Tony tells him. It's like, yo, if you're not anything without that suit, you're not Spider-Man. So earn it. And that he really brings up a good point, because Tony's like, yo, if you're not Spider-Man without my technology, then what are you, bro? And that I did have a gripe with that. I'm like, dude, you're Spider-Man. They could have used his spider sense capabilities a little bit more. They didn't dwell on that at all. In fact, he actually got caught a couple times. Vulture kind of caught him off guard. And normally, he has those reflexes, you know. I'm not going to fault the movie for that, because it's just a directing style choice that they chose not to dwell on. I get it. But they could have had that one scene where it's like, yeah, this dude has his spider sense. But even his friend snuck up on him in his room when he had his Death Star and he's crawling on the wall. Like, you think he would sense something like that. Like I said before, there was a sense of fun in this movie. They didn't dwell on Uncle Ben. There would have been a sadness that really overshadowed the film if they brought Uncle Ben into this. Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, she was cool. She did what she needed to do. I liked how... Let's just go into spoilers right now, okay? Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, she finds out who Spider-Man is at the end of the movie. I really like that, because this whole hiding your identity from people... I mean, we've seen that so many times, and let's just be honest, these secret identities in the MCU, it's all kind of bullshit. So Tony Stark, he's like, oh, I'm Iron Man, yo. Everybody knows who Captain America is. Like, Spider-Man's low-key underground hero. He needs his identity to be concealed at first because, you know, he's in high school and all that stuff. A lot of people, I've seen people complaining like, oh, Mary Jane isn't in, MJ is in this movie, but she's not Mary Jane. It could be a red herring, you know, it could be a red herring. We had two shockers in this film, so this could be a slight little nod to MJ at first and then bring in the real MJ later on. It could go either way. A lot of people are comparing this to Raimi's trilogy. Don't do that, yo. I mean, you can. I've done it. Raimi's thing is its own thing. Just let that go, man. Let it go. Homecoming's in the MCU. We all know the MCU has their own style. I liked the twist of Vulture being Liz's dad. Like I said earlier, if Liz didn't have any major tie-in to the actual plot, other than trying to like be Tom Holland's like love interest, I would have had a problem with Liz's character. Zendaya, I liked Zendaya, but I think she was underutilized. So they focused more on Liz, and then that whole MJ reveal at the end, it didn't really feel earned because she was just being observant the whole movie, and it's like, what are you doing here kind of thing. Like, I'm just drawing people's pictures. I'm in the background. She's kind of pining over Peter Parker, and usually it's the opposite. Usually Peter's pining over Mary Jane, MJ. So that's an interesting dynamic change. Like Donald Glover in this movie. Shout out to Donald. A slight little nod to Miles Morales possibly. He's got a nephew. He's not trying to have these weapons in the city. He's got a nephew. He's got to look after. It's like, that's a little slight nod possibly. So that's interesting. There's a lot to love about Spider-Man Homecoming. A lot of mixed reviews out there in the comments. A lot of people are saying it's overhyped. So I'm taking a step back. I'm not gonna be diehard over this thing because I'm gonna watch it again. Out of all these Spider-Man films, I've always liked something out of them, but there's always been something missing. The Raimi's trilogy, I didn't like how he had organic webs. The Green Goblin had his mask on. I didn't like how they covered Willem Dafoe. Amazing Spider-Man had his problems, tonal problems, but they did nail the swinging around the city. But one thing Homecoming did do, just to sum it up, it brought the character back home to the MCU. He's home. He has his foundation built. He's still in high school. Now we have some time to see this character build out. I'm really interested to see where they go with this. Got the Iron Spider tease at the end. Is he going to be wearing that in Infinity War? Who knows? I honestly doubt it. I doubt it. And I thought Tony Stark was going to be overused in this movie. While he's not overused, he is a big plot point of this movie. Spider-Man's trying to impress Tony Stark. I mean, that can go either way. I think they really rode that balance pretty well. Tom Holland was a great Spider-Man. He still has to grow up at some point because as of now, he's just really trying to get his... Right now, Spider-Man is just trying to find out who he is. I mean, you can either go with like dwelling in Uncle Ben's death, dwelling in being poor, like the Raimi versions, or you can just like struggle with being a kid in high school and having to save the city too. I think that angle is more lighthearted and easier to write, and that's the route they went with Homecoming. And not to trash, and that's not a fault on Homecoming. They just chose not to have that sadness in the film. And some people say that lacked emotion. This film lacked a lot of emotion. I can see where you come. I can see how you feel that way. There's a lot of emotion in the Raimi versions. There's some emotion in the Garfield versions, the Mark Webb versions, I should say. Homecoming is a lot. It's a lot lighthearted. Overall, I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray. It's probably gonna be one of my favorite MCU films. Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character. He's like the pinnacle. He's the pinnacle, man. Spidey. Homecoming did what it needed to do. I'm hyped about it. I'm not gonna overhype it. A lot of people have been overhyping it. Go see it. It's a good Spider-Man movie. Could have had more spider sense. He could have swung around the city a bit more, but he had to learn. I get it. He had to earn his place. Now he accepts that he's the low ground level hero that he is. He had the chance to get that promotion. He's like, "No, what, fam? I'm gonna stay low key for a minute. I'm gonna step my ground game up. I'm gonna see you guys in Infinity War." So I really appreciate what they're trying to do. I liked the soundtrack was cool. The theme was kind of forgettable, to be honest. I remember the opening with the Marvel credits with the old school Spider-Man theme. After that, everything else kind of washed away. So that's one issue. That's another issue I kind of had. The soundtrack, I'm not really remembering too much. I remember there's a lot of Ramones in the soundtrack. There's a lot of punk rock aspects to this movie. So that's a plus. But yeah, I liked it. What did you guys think of Spider-Man Homecoming? Comment below in the comment section. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.